Hello techies, I'm Divya here. On behalf of CyberBrainer, don't you think the world of tech is evolving faster than ever? Now is the perfect time to dive in and build the skills that will take you places. With CyberBrainer, we are putting you in the driver's seat of your own future. We at CyberBrainer don't just teach your interest. We believe that knowledge is power, but it's applied knowledge that truly sets you apart. Whether you're diving into data science, mastering artificial intelligence, or exploring the world of cybersecurity, our courses are designed to give you the skills that matter. So let's jump into the session and make the future yours today. Thank you.
Let's start talking about a very interesting topic, that is report writer. Report writer. Now we have talked about the HCM part of it. We now know the basics. We know what are organizations. We know what is the staffing model. We have talked about job profiles. We have created job profiles. We have created some compensation parameters. We have created packages, plans, allowances, and now we have also configured some security, some role-based security groups, user-based security groups process, maintain domain security policy permissions, business process security policy permissions, and on. Then we did the hiring in a business process. In a business process, we saw, but it's an approval step, action step, and then conditional approval. We maintain step conditions. We have done a lot. If you pause for a moment and take a look back at what all you have done, it's been a lot phenomenal. You can just give yourself a pat on your back that you have done the hard bit. Now it is a bit technical going forward, but still not too technical. Doesn't involve a lot of coding. Now we have covered our HCM part. We have covered the HCM part of the course. Now we are going to look at some of the other functionalities of Workday. We are going to look at how we can enhance the data, how we can make use of the data that is already there in Workday. How are we going to extract the data? How are we going to manipulate the data? And how are we going to send the data to external systems? This is what will be our focus of study for the next 2.5 to 3 weeks now. Before we actually start into this technical section of the course, let me ask you a very simple question. I want you to give me the list of all the countries in Africa with their capital. I mean the capital city and their population. List of all the countries in the continent of Africa. Africa, their capital cities and their population. What would you do to give me that information? Search in Google for sure. Search in Google? Yes, for sure. Yes, what else? That is one, definitely. Maybe the most convenient option these days. Yes, what else? Some books also have it, my daughter. Some books? Yes, maybe. Some books. Some journals. Yes, maybe in the library you will find a good book on this. Maybe you visit some consulate of some country from Africa and ask them about their country and maybe about their neighbors and on. What are you doing? What is the exercise you are doing? Checking Google. You are researching or you are trying to do what you're trying to get the data correct. That's what you're trying to do, isn't it? You're trying to get the data from somewhere, maybe Google, maybe maps, maybe some books, consulate, asking your friends. Somebody living in Africa, somebody. You're trying to get the data, isn't it? Agreed. You're trying to get the data that I requested. Then what would you let? Let's say you got it in a book. How will you send it to me? Will you send me the book? Put it in a format. You'll put it in a format. Yes, correct. You'll put it in some format. Now, what format? And who will tell you what format? Who can tell you? You, it's just a requirement. I mean, it's from the requirement. Who gives you the requirement? Who will give you the requirement in this case? Who? In this case, me. I'll give you the requirement. Because I have asked for the information. I am the one who has asked for this information. I have to give you the requirement. Isn't it whether I want in a notepad, in a text file, or do I want in an Excel spreadsheet, in a Word document? I have to tell you. Who am I here in this information exchange? Who am I? I am the recipient, isn't it? I am going to receive the information. You are the provider. You are the sender or the provider. You are going to send that information to me. Who is going to decide on the format? It will be driven by the recipient. It will be driven by the recipient, and it will be agreed between both the sender and the receiver. Let's say I said that I want it in a JSON format. Now you said, oh my god, what is JSON? I don't do JSON. Then I said, then give me an XML. And you said, I don't do Excel either. I do. And then I can think, maybe I can do Excel as. We agree that both of us can do Excel. Let's use Excel. The format is decided. Now you get the data in Excel format somehow. Maybe in Google you get it in Excel format. Maybe may not be. Maybe you'll get it. Maybe somebody has done it already. Maybe you'll get it. If you get it already in XML for in Excel format, then do you need to do any change to the format? Most likely no. You got it in Excel already, just send it to me. But what if you got it as a picture? Or maybe as a table in some web page? Then what do you have to do then? Rearrange it according to what the recipient wants. Rearrange it or maybe transform it, change the format, put it in a different format. Isn't it agreed? Yes or no? It can be a manual task. Or if somebody of you are very good with programming, you will write a complicated program that will take the time. The data from that web page and put it in an XML. Some people are very smart. They can do it. What did you do here? You transformed. You converted the format from the source, whichever format you received it, into the format that is understandable or accepted by the recipient. This step is called transformation step. Now, is the transformation step mandatory? Does it always take place? May not. May. If you already have the information in the form, or maybe you just send me the link to the web page and say, hey, Krish, you go figure out. I'm not going to do any transformation. You are able to read. And you have an internet connection. Here is the link and now go figure out. Then in that case, you did not need to do any transformation at all. You just sent me the link and said, here it is now. Transformation may be required. It may not be required. That is optional, but getting the data is absolutely important. You get the data, then you transform it. And then what is the third step after you have converted it? Or maybe you did not need to convert. Then how will you send it to me? Be an email or share drive. Email, share drive. What else? Modern communication methods. WhatsApp, LinkedIn. WhatsApp, sending an airdrop. Yes, if we are close by, then airdrop. What about file transfer protocol? Has anyone heard of FTP file transfer protocol? We can do that. Secure file transfer protocols, FTP. These are some transfer protocols. Of course, WhatsApp, putting it in a shared drive. They are also acceptable methods. What are you doing here? What are you doing here? You are sharing the file or you're transporting it. You are sending it to the recipient, isn't it? To the recipient. It can be to one recipient, to me. It can be to multiple recipients as correct. In this particular case, the example that I asked, the example that we discussed, was it anything to do with computers or Workday or something? It was just a typical information exchange between two parties, between you and me. Correct. And what were the steps involved? If somebody can summarize what were the different steps involved. Putting down the information into a proper format. Yes, search was part of it, but can we put a better term for it? What was the activity that you did? Let's say we title this discussion as information exchange. Step 1 is data collection. Data collection, yes, or in other words, getting the data. Get data, you got the data from somewhere, data collection. And where did you get the data from? What can we call that thing? Open source. Source. Can we call that a data source? The source of data. Can we call that? You get the data. From where? From a data source. Yes, no, maybe. We got the data from a data source. Then what did you do? Formatting or transformation. You will say formatting. As per the recipient's recipient requirements. Formatting, and we can also call it as transformation. We transform the data. Isn't it? We transform the data into the format that is expected by the recipient. And then, what did we do? Step 3. Send the data. Send the data or data transfer. Data transfer via what? Using what? Using a protocol. Now let's elaborate on this. Let's say somebody mentioned that we will send it to you via email. If that is the protocol that we have agreed upon, that you're going to send the data to me using email. Now, what would you need to complete the transaction to send the data to me actually over email? What would you need? I should have some email ID and I should have internet connection as perfect. You would need an email address where you can send the information and of course, internet connection. We agreed on WhatsApp. Would you need my email address? No, what would you need? That application, of course. You need to have that application on your phone, on your, I don't know, maybe on your desktop, some other computing device, and you need the recipient's phone number. If I tell you that it has to be a shared drive, then would you need the phone number or the email address? You need maybe the link and user ID and password. If I ask you to put it in a particular shared drive, or maybe if you and access to that particular shared drive, user ID, password I mentioned. And if you do it in your own shared drive, when you already have the user ID password, you can upload it there and then use a shareable link and send it to me. Correct, that can be another option. Now my point is, depending on the protocol, you need different connection parameters. Is it to say depending on the protocol selected? You would need different connection parameters. Is it correct to say You all said that if it's an email, you would need my email address. If it was WhatsApp, you would need the phone number. If it was a link, you would need the provider maybe. Google or Microsoft or Amazon something, and you would need the user ID and password. Correct. In a simple information exchange, I asked you for some information, and these are the three broad steps that we follow to exchange the information. Correct. Another parameter might be not a step 4, I would say an additional parameter can be how often do we need to exchange this information? Isn't it? How often is it a one-time activity, or would you? Or do I need this information periodically? Maybe once a year. Maybe once in 2 years. Maybe daily. Although the population of all those African countries and the capitals may not change daily. Even if it does, we may not have the ability to report on a daily basis on the population. The capitals do not change daily. How often do we need to exchange this information? Again, who will be able to tell this? Or who decides this? How often do we need to exchange this information? Recipient. Recipient and also the sender. Both of you agree. Both the sender and the recipient agrees how often we need to exchange this information. To exchange this information, but this is again mainly driven by the recipient. I tell you, if I am the recipient, I tell you I need this maybe once in every 6 months. This is a typical information exchange. Does it have anything to do with Workday or IT or anything? Software? No, just a typical information exchange. But the broad 3 steps that we followed are data collection or source of data. Step 2 is transformation. It may be required. Let's mark it as optional. Transformation is an optional step. And the third step is to send the data using a protocol to the recipient. And we will also consider about some additional parameters. How often do we need to send information? This information exchange that happened is an integration. You are integrating some sorts of data with the recipient now that the pipeline has been established. Now that we know what data to exchange, at what frequency, what is the transformation? What is the protocol? If I ask you the same information again, 3 months down the line, would you be able to give me that information very quickly? If you have already done it once, you will be able to do it very easily. Because where is the source of data? What to do in the case of transformation? And how to send that information to me? Maybe you already have my phone number or my email address and you will be able to send it to me very easily because the pipeline has been set up if I want the information. Again, you will be able to send it to me again. This is what an integration is all about. In modern IT systems, there are typically software applications for everything. Correct. Let's say you have a software application to create your access. You have a software application to create your email address and password. You have a software application for your payroll. You have one for your applicant tracking system or your ATS. You have one to maintain your payslips. You have one application to maintain your performance records, let's say. You have one different application that monitors, that does your background check. There are many different applications that are typically in and used in an organization. Now a company is going for Workday. Workday is one of the applications that the companies will use. Is that going to be the only application in that company's IT landscape? Do you think that will be the only application? Most likely no. Most likely no. It is not going to be the only application. Maybe it is the only. Even if they have purchased all the modules of Workday, it will still be one of the IT systems in their entire IT landscape, isn't it? Are we correct in saying? Are we correct if we say such a thing? That Workday is going to be only one of the applications in a company's entire IT landscape. Yes, it's going to be yes. If it is one of the applications in the landscape, would it require to talk to other applications or exchange data with other applications in the landscape? Let's say Workday is your system of record for worker data. All the new workers are going to be hired in Workday application. Correct. But is Workday the email provider? Will your email address be created in other portals? Give an example. Google. Office, Microsoft Office or Google or Yahoo or Rediff or something or all. Or whoever is the email provider for that organization. Now, let's say a new person joins. How will we create a new aid, a new email aid? How will we tell Google that, hey, a new person has joined? Create an email aid for them. How will we tell them? How will we tell Google we call them up? We tell them, hey, here are the details. Please note it down, create an aid and send it to Met once you are ready. Do we do that? No, we may. We may do that if that is the process. It used to be done 20 years ago, but now we typically don't do it. How do we do it then? Go to Google and then we will set our credentials there. Create an account. Good. Yes, we can do that if you have 1 employee joining per day. Yes, if you have 2000 employees joining. Too much effort. Too much effort. There should be some way of having that bulk. If you have 2000, then if I tell you, hey, Shweta, do it. Shweta will say, here is my 2 weeks. I'm leaving now. I'm not going to enter 2000 employees worth of data into Google. I'm done. And you might make mistakes also. You might give the first name as Kresh and last name as something else. And when I get my ID, I will be upset. This is not even my name. It leads to human errors. It leads to problems. It leads to data inconsistency. We don't want that. Large applications, large organizations, if they are working, they will try to minimize human interaction as much as possible. In that case, what if we can send the data from Workday to Google, for example, in some manner? Whenever a new person joins, then wouldn't it be easy? The information goes to Google. Google gets it, creates the email address and sends it back. Correct, and we associate that new email address with the worker's profile. Wouldn't that be great? Fully automated. Is this a way? I'm just trying to understand what you're trying to say is, for example, in my case, I'm just trying to associate it to one HRIS where my workforce data team enters the information of a newcomer. That integrate with something and then create a CS account for them. If I am joining new to Credit Suisse, my data is in one HRS because of course through or somewhere they will get my information. Now that gets integrated to the Credit Suisse, Credits.com or whatever it is, and then it pulls my first name, last name, and then puts that Credit Suisse.com. Something that yes, now let's say you Let's say you need to have an email aid. And what is the email aid that you use? I don't need your email aid, but just a provider. Is it an Outlook or Google? Or what kind of email aids do you use? Or is it in-house something that Credit Suisse has developed for themselves? It is in-house. But you can access it using Outlook. The Outlook. Let's say, if you can access it using Outlook, then most likely, the server is also maintained by Microsoft Office. Although you may have, your email domain would be something at Credit Suisse.com. But that domain, etc., the email provider can still be Microsoft Outlook or Microsoft Office. In that case, your information, the moment you join somebody or something, needs to send your information to Microsoft. Microsoft will create that account for you. Maybe it takes them, let's say, half a second to create your account based on your first name, last name, company domain, date of joining, etc. Maybe it takes them half a second because it's automated. And then they will return your email ID. There's something at Credit Suisse.com. And then the application receives it and updates your worker record in the HR system. That this is the equivalent, that this is the email that has been created for this particular worker. The entire process is automated. No one needs to call Microsoft. No one needs to keep waiting on the call, and no one needs to dictate the name and take down the email address. It is fully automated. How did this happen? How did two different applications exchange data? Using an integration. The integration is the process, or integration is the way in which we'll connect two different software applications, that they are able to talk to each other or communicate with each other. And what is communication? Information exchange. Any kind of communication is information exchange. This is what we are going to do. In the next 2.5 weeks, we are going to see how Workday can exchange information with other applications. The first part of it is step 1. What is step 1? Data collection, or getting the data from a data source, isn't it? That is the first part of it. And that is what we are going to start when we discuss report writer. Because the reports in Workday will help us to get the data from the Workday system, understand where this fits in the entire scheme of things. What is an integration and what is a report? What is an integration? If I ask you somebody, can you try to explain it in your own words? You may use any terms that you want. You do not have to use the terms that I used. What is an integration? It's a collection of information and data and transforming it using some source or some protocols that we use and send it across to the person. Yes, but let me correct you. One small action do to what you said is the integration does not, create data, does not have data. It is in the business of just transporting the data. It's just, integration will just get the data from somewhere, transform it if necessary, and deliver it. Nothing else. What would you say? What is an integration? Integration is nothing but copying from some other source that data. Last time, I think we had a one example. I have access software currently, then we are converting into Workday. We will copy the data from all the data from previous software to current software, Workday software. That can be, and also that can be an integration. Yes, and also example, I have a separate software for recruitment only. All the equipment data has to become to Workday afterwards. That can be integration part also. Correct. And what are the good examples? If I have to send information from one existing system into Workday, maybe we are doing a Workday migration. We have to load all the legacy data, whatever is there in the previous system. We have to convert that into a format that is understandable by Workday, and then we load it into Workday. That can be one integration. What else? And what else did you say? What was the other example? Sorry, but one was data load. Mohan, what was the other example? You said other example. I have taken that the recruitment. Oh, ATS. Yes, yes. Yes, you got it. You get the data from your applicant tracking system. It can be Taleo. It can be anything else. And then you send the information into Workday. Ashwini, yes, you go next. In a simple words, can we take it as a data exchange or communication between the applications? Yes, that is what it is. In very simple terms, that is what it is. Communication and data exchange between the applications. Absolutely. It is information exchange communication between software applications. That's a very nice way of putting it. Yes, very simple, very crisp way of putting it. That is exactly what an integration is. And then if I ask you, what are the 3 steps of an integration? Of any integration for that matter. What are the 3 broad steps? Data collection transformation. Third one was think logically. If you have to send it across, if you have to send the information, if somebody requests you for some information, you have to send it. What would you do? Get the data, you change it, and then you exchanging. Yes, we in Workday's terminology, we call it as getting the data. Transforming it and sending the data, we do this every day in, day out. If I ask you, hey, can you tell me what happened in the, let's say you had a party yesterday. You couldn't go, you asked somebody who did. Hey, can you tell me what happened in the party yesterday? And then what would you do? You say, oh, what I left. After having dinner, let me call someone who was there till the end and get back to you. You are calling somebody else. Why are you calling that person? The information, to get the information what happened, you heard that. Something happened towards the end. You are calling that person to get the information. Then what would you do? You will add some mirch masala and some gossip on top of it. You will do some transformation and then you will call the friend who called you initially. And you will pass on that information to that friend. Correct. What were the 3 steps involved? You got the data. You did some transformation. Now, if you are very honest, if you do not want to do the transformation, then you will pass on the information as received, isn't it? Or in WhatsApp terms, you will forward the email, forward the message, as is information received, forwarded as is. Or maybe you added some mid-church masala and some transformation on top of it. And then what did you do? You called up that friend of yours and said, hey, you called to ask this information. Here it is. And you say you transmit that information to the other person, isn't it? Isn't this what we do on a regular basis? Isn't this what communication is all about? Integration is the communication between software applications where they are exchanging information. 3 steps are getting the data, transforming the data if necessary, and then sending the data to the recipient. Yes, Ashwini, you have a question. No, I saw your hand raised. All clear on this. In fact, information exchange integration, what integration is all about. Now we take our first step in the world of integration. First step is to get the data. Getting the data may not always be used in an integration. But getting the data is important nonetheless that we will use this report writer for any kind of information that we want from Workday. Let's say how many workers are there in a particular location. How many? What is the base pay of the workers in executive management, supervisory organization, all this kind of information. How would you do that? You will be able to do that using reports. Let's start with this particular topic, report writer, in the next couple of sessions, 2 or 3 days. We will talk about what is a report writer tool. We will get introduced to it. What are standard reports? What are custom reports? How do we schedule reports? How do we configure alerts? And we will have a quiz at the end. First thing, what are reports? Reports in Workday are designed for the functional user. Functional user, that means it is very simple, easy to use, easy to deploy, consumer-friendly interface. It is not something where you would need a lot of coding or a lot of complicated queries. No, not required at all. It is designed for the functional user, means it does not need any coding. That is what this statement means. It is designed for the functional user, people who are working with the application, who know the data. It is designed for them. You do not need to know those complicated SQL statements. Select star from this where this equal to this. But inner join, outer join, not required. They are easy to deploy, simple, easy to use. Consumer-friendly interface. And the other best part about Workday reports are that the reports are built into the application. It is not a separate bolt-on application. Now what happened is, if you are familiar with some other products, you will see that the applications themselves are very good. It has all the functionality and everything. But if you need to get some information, if you need to write a report, then it becomes a very difficult thing. You need to reach out to some specialized person who is good with some querying, who is doing something very complicated with the reports and on. You have heard about things Tableau and Cognos. Have you heard about those products? Tableau, yes, but not the other one. Cognos. No, Cognos used to be the Tableau of 20 years ago. It used to be very popular then, but now it is losing a lot of ground to the modern BI products, Tableau and on. What is a Tableau product? What does it do? What does Tableau do? What is Tableau? I'm just asking what do about Tableau. I'm not asking you to create something in Tableau. I'm just asking what is it, or maybe no idea, just heard of it. And what does it do? Basically, it's a reporting tool. It's a report, It's called a BI tool, business intelligence kind of tool. It helps you to create fascinating reports and dashboards, to present the data in a very simple, easy to use, readable format. And Tableau can work with different applications to give you wonderful reports. Tableau is basically a reporting tool. The reason this reporting tools, I said, a separate reporting tool. The reason that it was required was that most of the applications did not have good reporting capabilities by themselves. You needed to have specialist people who would create reports on top of this application as a separate product. That was a problem. Historically in Workday, when they designed the product, they thought of this from the beginning. That for this we have to build the capability to create reports from the beginning. Reports are absolutely part and parcel of Workday. Just the core concepts that we talked about, your supervisory organizations, compensation, etc. Reports are absolutely inbuilt into the application. Afterthought. It was not something that was done later. It was absolutely built into the application. And the best part of it is the security concepts that we learned. And the related actions that we are familiar with now, all of that apply equally. In the reports, as when you run a report, you see the output, you can straight away go to related actions and take some action from there directly. You don't have to open up that object and then go to the related actions and do something. It is absolutely inbuilt there. And you can take the action directly from the user interface. And reports can be used in integrations as the source of data. It can be accessed from mobile devices. If somebody is using Workday Mobile, they can access the reports from the mobile devices. They can run seriously large reports from mobile devices. Why? Because they are not actually running it on their mobile. It's running it on the server. But you are triggering it from your mobile device. You can access from mobile device. And you can also put it as part of your business processes. When we were talking business process, we said that you can trigger reports from within the business process, isn't it? Yes, reports can be triggered from within the business processes to provide relevant data for decision making. Reports are very, very useful and for everything, anything and everything. We will create reports to get the information from Workday. Once about reports, you will be fascinated about the power of it. And you will again be surprised how often you use it. Almost every day, day in, day out, you will be using reports. Now to help you to get started with it, Workday gives you something called as standard reports. Standard reports are Workday delivered and it is provided to all customers. Every single Workday customer has the standard reports. The standard reports are created and designed by Workday and they are given to all customers. Now Workday standard reports are of two broad types. One is called the reports that are written using a report writer. There are a certain set of reports that are created using a report writer. And then there are some other set of reports that are created using something called Espresso. EXO. The reports that are created using Espresso cannot be copied or scheduled. The Espresso reports, they are typically used to generate some of the screens. Maybe when you create allowance plan, you see a screen where it asks you to enter certain data. Those screens are created using Espresso. It is absolutely internal to Workday product development team, the people who develop the product. And it is used to render those screens. We will not be able to copy Espresso reports. We are not going to change. We will not be able to change those Espresso reports. We will only be able to work with the report writer reports. I mean, it's not something to do with security. It's just the way it is. And if I want to see all the standard reports that are present in the system, I can use a task called Workday Standard Reports. Please make a note of it. Workday Standard Reports. Remember it in this way. Standard reports are Workday delivered. Standard reports are Workday delivered. It is Workday Standard Reports. Workday Standard Reports will give you a list of all the standard reports that are available in that particular system. Let's go and check it up. Let's go and check. I will not go proxy. I think I can run it from here as Workday Standard Reports. Oops, Workday Standard Reports. This is a report that we can run to find out all the standard reports that are available in the system. Let's try that. Workday Standard Reports. Now it asks you for different categories. What are those categories? Let's take some examples. You see, it can be the academic advising, it can be for HCM audits, some awards background processes, it can be for the compensation. Let's click on compensation. This term looks familiar. Let's see what are the standard reports that are there for compensation. We have around a lot of reports. Around 150 different standard reports that talk about compensation. They are of the category compensation. Now do you see? The report type is report writer and these are the two types of reports. Now if I scroll down further, there will be other reports. But these ones are all report writer. But here is another example where it is report writer and sorry, where is it? Where it was report writer and espresso. Here bonus and one-time payment history. This is an espresso report. Benchmark jobs audit, that is a report writer. Now for the espresso kind of report. If I go to related actions of the report, let's look for the actions. You see, I don't have much options. But if I look at this other one, benchmark jobs audit, let's see if I have any security permissions. Let me click on that. You see, I have the option for standard report and I have the option to run it. But for the other report, the espresso one, I do not have the option to run the report. I only get the option to see effect instance. Integration IDs, process security, basically all useless tasks. I cannot run the report for myself. I cannot run it. Anyway, the point is the reports that are created using report writer. Those are the reports that we will be able to schedule. We will be able to modify by copying it into a standard report and on. Expressor reports are just there. We will not be able to use it much as a report. Now, if I do not want to list only the compensation reports, I want to see all the standard reports. Then I will go to this change selection criteria. And instead of compensation, I'll just remove it as blank. You see this category report, categories is not mandatory. I may leave it blank and click. Now what Workday will do is it will give you a list of all the standard reports that are available in this particular tenant. How many are they? How many are there? Around 700 standard reports. I know a lot of them are espresso, but still we have a lot of standard reports that we can use. Now what happens is we typically use the standard reports as our starting points before we actually go ahead and create our custom reports on our own. But we will definitely use the Workday standard reports. We will try to find if there is a standard report for this. And then we will even tell the customer that, hey, you have this particular requirement that you want me to research. There is already a standard report for it. Why don't you use that? Isn't it? If there is a standard report, it is delivered by Workday. It is prepared by Workday. It should be standardized and you should be able to use. it easily. Why bother? Why ask me to create another report? You use a standard report. First job for any requirement is we have to try to find out if there is a matching standard report for that particular functionality. That is where we will start. We will look at some standard reports in tomorrow's session, and then we will start creating our own custom reports, where we are going to create reports on our own. Krish, would you mind scrolling the screen down? Just wanted to check if all the types. Oh, got my answer. I just thought if what was. Were all work-based standard reports under the type of report writer, or it also had Express, or it has Express. The ones that are report writer, those are the ones that are useful to us. I mean, in terms of reporting, we will be able to copy them. We will be able to run them. The Express ones are not that's useful. Of this 46991, there may be a few thousands of espresso. Maybe around 2500 or maybe 2 season reports are there, which are report writer reports. We will use them and we will copy them into custom reports and make changes. Remember that for standard reports, we cannot edit standard reports. They are Workday provided. We will not be able to edit them. What we can do is we will copy them, create our own custom reports, and then edit the custom reports. We can edit the custom reports as much as we want, but the standard reports, we will not be able to edit them. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.